Well, we've talked about what happens when there's round-off noise in a filter. Round-off noise is just another type of quantization noise and can be treated mathematically the same way. And it occurs in every filter. Because even if you have floating point and high precision, anytime you multiply two numbers, the number of bits required to represent the output is almost twice the number of the input, or the number of bits used to represent the input plus the number of bits used to represent the multiplier. As a result, there has to be round-off, or this can grow indefinitely. So round-off noise is a fact of life. For many cases, it doesn't present problems, but in others it does. In particular, in fixed point systems, it's not uncommon to have specialized architectures that hold more intermediate bits so that the round-off only occurs as the last step of the filter and not early on. This prevents the noise generated by round-off from being filtered through the filter itself. But now we're going to be talking about quantizing the filter coefficients themselves. What happens to a filter when you quantize the coefficients? In particular, does it introduce noise, or is it some other impact? Well, quantizing the coefficients is necessary in many cases. For example, you may have an algorithm that you use to generate your filter coefficients for a desired purpose, and maybe that's in MATLAB or maybe it's in Python, and you're using double precision floats. And now it comes time to implement your filter, and to do so efficiently you use single precision floats, or maybe you use integer math because of limitations of your platform. So this changes the filter coefficients, but it does not introduce noise into the filter. In essence, it's as if we just chose a different filter. So the biggest impact is that the pole and zero locations move. So no noise is added per se, but rather the filter itself may now have characteristics that you didn't originally design. So a few things about this. One, this effect is stronger for tightly clustered roots. When I say the effect is stronger, I mean the pole and zero locations move more. Next, the effect is stronger for high order polynomials. Another thing to note, and we'll explore a little bit of this in a moment, but to get it all out there, the performance of the filter is most impacted when the roots are close to the unit circle. And finally, as should not be a huge surprise, the problems with this are usually due to displaced poles. Okay, so what can be done? I'll run through some examples through MATLAB in just a moment. But first, these first two things talk about the poles and zeros moving, what causes them to move more. And the second two parts talk about the impact in real life on performance of your filter. So we're going to first address these by factoring h of z into second order sections. So if the problem are that we have tightly clustered roots, a second order section, meaning a second order polynomial, will have just two roots, and those two roots are going to be complex conjugates of each other, and so are therefore unlikely to be clustered at all. They'll be in different hemispheres of the complex plane. Second, each second order section is a relatively low order polynomial. It's second order. If you have a filter with 512 coefficients, that's a lot. You're going to have a lot of roots, and it's a higher order polynomial, and the roots are likely to be close to each other, which can cause problems. By factoring into second order sections, each filter acts on its own, independent of the others, to implement the particular pole and zero associated with that filter. The cumulative effect of filtering with each of these second order sections will be the same as filtering with the entire filter. The only advantage that we've gained is that we no longer have problems that with quantizing the coefficients that would cause the roots to move greatly. So, as we showed before, we can take our signal, or rather our filter, and we can factor it like this. And since the C's and the D's are each complex, since we are starting with a real filter, which we're assuming, it's not necessarily the case, but it's overwhelmingly more common. We can now combine the roots that show up as conjugate pairs, and we get k equals 1. And at this point, I'm going to change the range. We're going to n coefficients on both feed forward and feedback. This is very common. If that is not the case, then you choose n to be the larger of the two, and you add in some dummy coefficients of 0, and everything appears as normal. But now we're going to go to approximately n over 2, depending on whether or not n is odd or even. And we have B01, we're going to give this a new name. I'm sorry, B0K. B0 comma K plus B1 comma K, z to the minus 1 plus B2 K, z to the minus 2, 1 minus A1K, z to the minus 1, minus A2K, z to the minus 2, and remember, depending on how you do things, that could also be positive. This whole part here is our second order section. And we will call it HK of Z. Now in MATLAB, there are two functions. One is transfer function to second order section. The other is second order section to transfer function. And those do just what they sound like they do. They would take your a vector of b's and your vector of a's and give you a matrix of b's and a matrix of a's, where each row, maybe each column, I'd have to double check the help, is a second order section. And so now our filter, which maybe before was a sixth order filter and nice and long, now becomes wide. H1 of Z, H2 of Z, H3 of Z, and each of these is going to be just a regular, and in this case, once again, we've used the direct form 2, but it could be direct form 2 transpose or any other implementation you like. It's almost always, though, going to be some type of direct form 2 filter, either direct form or direct form 2 transpose, because if you did direct form 1, you would now have your delays on the outside, and you could combine the outsides into, once again, direct form filters. And each is set up like that. Okay, now depending on how your scaling is, this could be a little bit less efficient than what we had before. For example, here we have a scaling factor. We're also going to have one at each of the other filters. They will now have their own B0s, which means we now have more B0s that we're going to have to implement. But this is actually really helpful in finite precision cases, because it allows you to choose the gain for each of these sections so that the overall gain of each section is close to 1. That means if you have a signal that's scaled well at the input to be less than 1, it will never be greater than 1 at the output of any of these sections, and that is a way of guaranteeing that you don't have overflow. So before I get into some MATLAB examples, we need to cover one other important thing, and that is the basic idea of filter design. We will hit this again later in the course, but for now we're going to start by just learning some of the terminology so we can use the MATLAB tools for filter design to give us some framework in which to go investigate how these different filter forms are affected by quantization.